Hello and welcome to Better Together. I'm Tony.
And I'm Kimberly.
We are going to be talking about an interesting topic today. We're going to talk about something that I think is a absolute reality to every single person who may be watching. Change. In fact, listen to this statement. One thing that will never change is that there will always be change. So here's my question. How well do you deal with change? So
That's a challenging question there.
yeah, it's always going to be.
That is thought-provoking.
Yeah, we're always going to be experiencing it, so we may as well be good at it. Can you think of anything that the Bible tells us right off the bat that helps us understand that concept more deeply?
I would say the Bible specifically speaks of the seasons.
Ecclesiastes, right?
Yes.
For everything there is a season. Yeah, so whether we call it change or we call it seasons, we know that life is full of different seasons and different changes. So what is a season or a change that is notable in your life that was difficult for you to traverse?
Ooh, I was going to give you my current situation.
okay,
No, but I'm not.
Okay. Oh, good.
I'm turning the tables on you.
We'll save that one.
How do you like that change?
Yeah.
So I would say actually being a wife.
That was a big change
That
for
was
being
a
single.
Huge change.
Okay.
And then, and then having kids, like.
So was that the hardest season of change? Of course, that's perpetual. We had 4. So
I would really say that, I don't even know if it was really hard. It's just the season would be, I would say, going from singleness, thinking I had it all together, right? Thinking I knew what it meant to be single, and now I know what it means to be married.
all right. Yeah, so one thing about seasons is when you know that they're coming, you can prepare for them, but we don't see every season that's coming. So let me just give you an example of a season that I saw coming and prepared for, and then a season that I didn't see coming that I wasn't able to prepare for, and I just had to respond for. One, I saw us, marriage. There's something called engagement. So if you're engaged, let me give you some advice. And it's never too late to take this advice. But anyway, when I saw that season coming and I saw that change, I began to do things. One, as a man, I began to kind of prepare a home, prepare the house, do some things that were, I looked at different furniture because I had bachelor furniture. Sitting in the living room in plastic chairs probably wasn't going to be a good idea. But anyway, something that I did, relationally and emotionally and mentally as I began to prepare myself, I began to study marriage from people who had been doing it. And I think that here in America, we're so independent-minded. We don't understand how much better together we really are. And I remember I began to watch conferences. I watched conferences done by women concerning marriage. I watched conferences done by couples concerning marriage. And I began to become a student of, some of the things that people had learned through their years of marriage. And I did that in preparation.
Okay, so how long, do you remember back, how long would you say that season was for you?
That was months. I'll just tell you, from the time, I was always kind of interested in it, but we had a relatively short engagement. I don't remember how long it was, but I remember that I had been engaged in learning about marriage because I realized very quickly I was operating from a deficit in that area. You like to think you know things, but the first thing, the most powerful thing that you can know is what you don't know. In other words, when you know what you don't know, you can really fortify yourself against changing seasons and ignorance.
Okay.
Ignoramusness.
Okay, so based upon what you just shared, I would say that when I was single, I would study what it meant to be single in the context of being a Christian.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I mean, when I want to, what does that really mean? Functionally, what does that look like? And so I did. I read books on singleness and, that kind of thing.
So-
Studied that.
Yeah. So is there a seasonal change or a change that you know of that is coming in your life that you need to be intentional about preparing for? Because the Bible says it this way. It says a wise man sees trouble or change or adversity or calamity, whatever that might be. A wise man sees that afar off and makes preparation. So there you go. If you know there is a season of change financially, relationally, or otherwise, if you know you're going to have kids, don't wait till you have kids. Do not listen to me. Do not wait until you have kids to get kid information, baby wise. If you're about to have a baby, is it Ezzo? Ezzo or those?
Yeah.
Anyway, Baby Wise by Ezzo changed our lives and saved our lives and maybe our children. If that's not your thing, I'm not trying to, promote a particular book, but you need to prepare for that season. If you're going to college or you're going to school or you're how about this one? If you know you're going to be finding a different church or you're moving to a different area, do get prepared. Study on the front end. Pay attention.
I think a lot of people do. Well, not a lot of people. Some people. It's interesting. Some people will take the time to do that.
Right.
If they know they're moving, okay, they're gonna study up on the the neighborhoods and the area and people will spend a lot of time making.
Visit the Walmart. Visit the Walmart that is in your neighborhood.
Right, but then there's those other seasons of relationally, like singleness, like marriage, like kids, that we may not take that same opportunity to do.
Yeah.
Now, you said that you were going to share something, a season that you had prepared for,
Right.
and then a change that you didn't prepare for.
Yeah. How do you deal with change when it's something that you don't expect? How do you deal with change when all of a sudden, you get that phone call and it's immediate? I think one of the big things is recognize the reality. I'm not gonna compare it directly to the stages of grief necessarily.
Okay.
But whenever you recognize that a season or a change has occurred and you're operating from a deficit on that, there is, of course, the preparation that you need to do. You need to learn as much as you can in that season. Okay. Understand big picture wise. Step back and say, even though this may not be comfortable, it may not be expected, it didn't slip past God. It didn't surprise God. Whatever it is, it was allowed into my life by the loving arms and hand of my Father. So He will be here to help me traverse it, no matter what it is.
Okay.
He will be here to guide me and give me wisdom in it. He was not surprised. I should not be surprised. And this will bring certainty. It'll help you focus on what is, not what was, because that's what happens. That's one of the things that makes change so difficult is we like how things were. I was saying, let me give you a scientific reason or understanding why change is so difficult. The brain in a human being consumes the absolute most calories. The brain is the size of the brain in a human being is disproportionate to every other animal. Our brains use a lot of the energy and the calories that we burn because they're so big. So
they're sponges.
When you develop a neurological pathway, you develop a way of thinking, then it gets comfortable. And it doesn't take as many calories to travel along an existing way of thinking as it does to rethink. It takes energy to think, rethink, and establish a different way of thinking. Think about it. The Word says that we are transformed by the renewing or the changing or the transforming of our minds. That is not easy.
No.
So whenever we experience change, we're not only dealing with emotional and spiritual, we're dealing literally with a physiological process of reestablishing neurological pathways or ways of thinking. By nature, we want to default to the old way. We want to default to the way of least resistance. That's just human nature. We want to preserve those calories. Think of your brain as a muscle. And it has to learn a new exercise. So that's another reason that change is so difficult. So navigating it well is recognizing the reality, coming to and reconciling the truth of the change, looking at, this is a huge one, looking at the implications of those changes, not only on you, but on those loved ones. on those
Okay.
people that you may be leading, on the wife that you may be loving, or the children that you may be teaching. How is it going to affect all those things? And prepare yourself. The Bible says, gird up yourself. In other words, okay, it's a new season, it's a new time. Let's go ahead and do what is necessary to learn how to adapt and thrive in this new season. Again, God's not surprised, we shouldn't be.
So do you think, is there like a timeline or, for what is something functional then that you can
Do for adjusting.
do for adjusting to those those seasons that catch you by surprise?
Well,
I mean,
we,
how do you fortify?
You call it recentering or refocusing. You can call it whatever you want to, but basically for me, and I would suggest this for everybody, when you come into this season of change, get before God and ask Him very, very clearly, God, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And some of the answers may come and they may be very, very clear, or you can trust that He'll make those things more clearly over time. But I think that if we will, this is huge, if we will humble ourselves
Okay.
and trust, then we become pliable. That's what's necessary for the adaptation that must occur in order to traverse that new season successfully.
And maybe there's a little bit of waiting
Absolutely, patience,
involved in that.
yeah, endurance, and to resolve that I'm moving forward. I'm not stopping.
Right. I'm not giving up.
I'm not going to go into depression. Depression is a disproportionate focus on what you can't change. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You will fall into depression, and maybe it's not something that needs to change other than you. The only thing I can really change is my attitude, my perspective, and those things. I can't change my circumstance. It's a delusion. Control very often is a delusion that we fall for.
Okay.
Make sense?
It does.
Cool. Look, I hope this has helped you. I hope all of our content is helping you. We are willing to have those candid discussions about things that will make a difference. We hope to, in fact, if you have questions or you have comments or things that you want to leave, go ahead and do that. Leave those questions. We'd be more than happy to discuss that. If you're trolling, please keep your opinion and your questions to yourself, or we will simply delete them. Anyway, thank you.
We digress.
We digress. Like and share, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Better Together.
See you later.